Okay, today we are playing a game on VoD. We are in the Platinum SR range, and we will be playing Winston the entire way through. This is not technically true. There's a little bit of diva at the very end of the game, but by a little bit of diva, I mean, like, literally, like, less than 2 minutes. So, it's mostly Winston. Current team composition is Reinhardt, Winston, McCree, Farah, Mercy, and Baguette. We are, of course, sad to not have Zarya, Hanzo, Zenyatta, because that's just how life is currently right now. But, that being said, we do have Ryan, McCree, Bridget to occupy the front line, and then Winston, Farah, Mercy to harass the back line, so it could definitely work out. You know, I see the plan for the team comp, but, you know. Also, it could get real fucked up if they have, like, a Bridget, because she'll just fuck us up when we get there. Now, Farah might be able to fuck up the Bridget, but that's really dependent on the Farah actually, like, being somewhat competent, and you know, asking for competence from your own teammates in Overwatch is a very tall order most of the time. So we learn immediately they have a Doomfist, which is very annoying for us, and now Doomfist's gonna come and try to fuck us up. We jump out, and then turn right back around and land right back on Doomfist's face. Doomfist's gonna kill us for that. We should not have done that. We should have just jumped as far away as we could possibly get. Basically, we want to jump further down the street, pick up the large health kit, and we can come back to our team, because, like, otherwise, Doomfist's just gonna kill us. Or if we know, like, Mercy is gonna heal us, we can maybe survive through it, but, like, Mercy had to basically already be healing us by that point. And she wasn't, so we just had to disengage at that point, because Doomfist was gonna fuck us up. As he did. So we end up having to come back. We do kill Moira right as we arrive, help kill Mercy. Now, unfortunately, though, our Mercy is dead, which means we don't have much in the way of staying power right now. And now Baguette's also dead, so we have even less in the way of staying power. Fortunately, the only person here that's threatening to us, really, is Doomfist, and we've managed to dodge the punch, so we're going to get to build up Primal Rage. And we're going to use it right now. Mercy's died immediately again, because she's just died in the kill feed. She got pinned by Reinhardt. I like the patience right there, because we see her go over there. Well, fade. She's going to go over this way, and now we're going to beat her to death. We are really fucking fidgety, aren't we, though? Like, we're kind of all over the place. Primal Rage is like an ultimate that requires a surprising amount of patience to use particularly well. Because here's, like, the ideal use for Primal Rage, right? It's like, you jump on the person, you pop your ult, and that resets the jump cooldown. You then punch the person, you follow them with the reset on the jump. Might help to draw this. Hold on. So, we jump in on the person initially, right? We pop our ult here, then we punch the person. Our jump reset, we follow the person. We wait, after the second jump, we wait for the cooldown on our jump to be up, then we punch him again, then we follow him, punch, 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 he's dead. And we can punch him while he's in the air, then we'll land on him again. The person is basically dead at that point, especially when you consider somebody else is probably helping you kill the person. Also, thing with Primal Rage is that if you're, like, if the target you're shooting at, the target you're hitting is on, like, the right side of the reticle, they actually get bonked, like, that way. Similarly, if they're on the left side, they get bonked that way because of the way Winston swings his fists. He doesn't just punch you, he, like, bats you. So, it's, Primal Rage actually requires a surprising amount of, like, patience to actually use properly. Because what most people do, I also wish Primal Rage, like, put you in a third-person perspective while you're using it, because it's so hard to keep track of what's happening when you're in Primal Rage, I find. Yeah, it's, it requires a surprising amount of patience to actually use well. And that's, like, the hardest aspect of Winston, is using Primal Rage well. Because, you know, Winston himself, pretty easy hero to play. As long as they're in your field of view, you're hitting them. But, like, other than that, like, Primal Rage is, like, the hardest thing. Other mechanic, legitimate strat, don't laugh, is you jump at the enemy team, but then you swing around mid-air so that you fly at them ass first. Because if you're flying at them ass first, they can't headshot you while you're flying at them. So it just makes you a little bit more survivable when you're jumping in, which for Winston can be a big deal. So their Doomfist is dead, which is great news for us, because he's the one that's, like, gonna fuck with us mostly. And we just start harassing their backline immediately. Doomfist dead, both their tanks died to Deadeye, Mercy's dead, we won the team fight, hooray, we didn't really have to do anything. We did start harassing the backline, that's cool. Hanzo decided to waste his ultimate, very obliging of him, how nice. So, Winston's kind of a scary hero to play against their team, because Winston, like, we can't really kill either of their DPS, right? Like, Hanzo we can kill if he fucks up, but, like, more often than not, the Winston ends up dying to the Hanzo, or just, like, the Hanzo just kind of leaves, right? Like, it's not really a big deal. Doomfist, like, actively makes life difficult for us, and we can't kill him that frequently. And then the two healers, it's two main healers, which is annoying for us to deal with, because if they're paying attention, they can just heal each other, and we'll never actually kill them. But if we are occupying both of their supports' time, that's good enough also. Here's the thing with, like, flanking and diving, right? Is that you're basically always successful as long as you don't die, and it's taking more than one person to deal with you. Because if you jump into the enemy team, or you're flanking the enemy team, and, like, just Doomfist deals with you, like, just Hanzo deals with you, then you have failed, because you broke even, basically. You occupied one member of their team, but your team was also missing a member of their team. So that just your team was fighting 5v5 in your absence, which is not what we're trying to do if we're flanking or diving. We're trying to make it so that your team is fighting like 4v5. Your team is fighting 5v4 or 5v3 even, ideally. This is why Tracer is such a good hero and always has been, is that she almost always takes more than one hero to deal with her, right? She almost always. There's very few heroes in the game that can deal with Tracer by herself, and it's basically Bridget. But even Bridget is typically going to deal with Tracer as a response to Tracer fucking with somebody else. So the Tracer is still successful in that case, because then her team is fighting an uneven fight in your team's favor. And that's what we're trying to do. So if we're occupying both of their healers, that's great, but we do have to also not die as a result. They changed Moira as well, didn't they? Her healing doesn't go through barriers anymore, so if we jump on the Mercy, and then the Moira has to actually, like, come into our bubble to heal the Mercy, which is very upsetting for Moira. We will, like, never kill them, but if we're occupying both of them, that's good enough at the same time. So we should not be, like, advancing into them right now, because our bubble is down. Also, Farah just got killed, which is, like, super inconvenient, but, like, we are going in way too aggressively when we have no shield in front of us. Winston is very big and easy to hit. Got knocked down in the bubble, because, you know, it takes a second to deploy, so Earth Shadow can end up going through it. Very unfortunate. So, Reinhardt and McCree are dead, we should just leave, because we're gonna lose this fight. That's just how it is. We lost 2 people, they're not down anybody. We managed to build up our ultimate, that's great. I think we actually managed to get Mercy out as well, because I think, yeah, she's jumped over the edge. Hooray! Fortunately, we have a lot of people who can go over the wall, so we do manage to get away. Alright, so now, Doomfist used Primal Rage. Our team has regrouped now, so I would pop Primal Rage right now, because we're going to die to this Meteor Strike. Or we can go through our bubble to avoid dying to the Meteor Strike, and then get shot by Hanzo, which is what actually happens. Like, we're having a team fight now. If we just pop Primal Rage, we don't die right there. We could just immediately pivot into trying to kill the Hanzo. The argument against that would be like, well, the Doomfist might kill a bunch of people behind us, but it didn't look entirely untenable. But then Gravitron Dragon Strike happens, which is, you know, it's over at that point, because that's just how life is. So, correct play here is, it doesn't look like we're going to get out, really, because we just jumped. We got 5 seconds on that. Just die to the dragon. And the reason to die to the dragon is Hanzo doesn't get ult charge off of that. But if you die because you get punched to death by Doomfist, Doomfist gets ult charge off of that. So if you just, like, throw yourself into the dragon, the enemy team will get no ult charge off of you. Or very little, because someone else will probably hit you at the same time, but they'll get way less. This is important to remember as the tanks, is that you are going to be the majority of where the enemy team gets their ult charge from. So, you want to try and mitigate that as much as possible. And, that's why, like, if a Reinhardt who's, like, full health manages to jump off the edge rather than get killed by the enemy team, just deny the enemy team, like, 40% ult charge. Like, it's real good. So Doomfist is way the fuck behind us. We have McCree and Bridget on our team. We should not have to worry, and Farah as well, actually. We should not have to worry about the Doomfist. So we jump on the Hanzo, we wait out a lot of the Storm Arrow. We got Primal Rage, so it doesn't really matter how hard we engage right now. We managed to push 2 people off the edge. Hooray! And then their Reinhardt died as well. They lost the fight. Easy money. I would like everybody to notice Farah got punched to death by Doomfist. That's pretty upsetting. It's, she's got fucking Doomfist's fighting over there. It's still, like, not our area. This is, like, an actively detrimental res right there, because she just rezzed Hanzo into a situation where Hanzo should have basically immediately died afterwards, and Mercy had to die to res him as well. That res right there fucked up a lot of this team fight, because that meant Mercy died, whereas they could have just waited for Hanzo, and they would have been able to get the fight in before we pushed to the end of the checkpoint. Instead, Mercy decided to die. Hanzo had to spend his life running away, basically, and then they were just fighting, like, they were just massively staggered at that point. So now we've jumped on the Mercy. Nobody really wants to help Mercy. Doomfist's also dead right now, so he can't fuck with us. We end up missing the Mercy, so we just pop Primal Rage to try and catch up to her again. She died regardless, didn't matter. But now we can start harassing these other people. Nice. Punched her to death. And now we can just bully this Moira. She's unhappy about this one. Oh, here comes Doomfist. There goes Doomfist. Not really our problem still. Oh, we're so fidgety. Oh no. Oh no. Yep. Dead. I just put it over him. He might have Earth Shatter. Might stop him. Like, we've won. Not to spoil it, but we've won this point. Team kill. Easy peasy. So now we have to defend. We decide to stay on Winston for the defense, which is fine. Some people will complain if you're picking Winston on defense, because he's a dive tank. Yeah, it's not exactly unheard of for the defending team to run a dive comp. I hate when people complain that, like, the defending team has, like, a Winston on it, because, like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, okay, he's not, like, gonna stand up there the same way a Reinhardt would, but, like, neither's Zarya, so... It's, he, like, fucks up certain heroes pretty good, certain quite popular attack heroes, like Genji and Tracer. He doesn't fuck up Tracer, but he does, zone Tracer off very consistently, so... You know. Anyway, Baguette's kind of better at that, but, you know, Winston's here. So Farah has killed herself, somehow. We've just learned they have a Reaper. Reaper is behind us, because he killed Mercy, so there's only one place he can logically be. Then he kills Baguette as well, so these are really bleak times. So, we've put our bubble down over here for very little reason, because there's nothing happening over here that, like, warrants putting the bubble down, really, because, like, Reinhardt's right here. Yeah, his barrier's getting kind of low, but, like, the bubble is, like, really bad like this, because it's not... It doesn't have a lot of health. It gets broken really quickly. So, really, like, it's like an emergency situation to, like, put it over somebody like this, because it's just going to immediately get broken. They have, like, they got a Reaper, a Soldier, a Zenyatta over there. Like, they're going to break it so quickly. Like, it's up for, like, less than a second. So, it doesn't end up amounting to very much. And now, we've decided to jump on their supports, but we don't have our bubble. So we just end up dying, because we're also running down this narrow funnel at Zenyatta. Whereas if we have our bubble while we're doing this, we don't die, probably. Because we put the bubble down, like, right here, and then we can walk into the room perfectly fine, tase Zenyatta, and then just, like, walk through the door, jump away, if it looks like we're gonna die. However, we don't have our bubble, so we just take a lot of damage going in, and then we take more damage, then we just keep running at Zenyatta. There's, like, big juicy head hitbox running down this very narrow doorway, so we just end up getting fucking murdered, because we didn't use our bubble super well. This is the other thing with Winston. If you're jumping into the enemy team, and you don't have your bubble up, you basically have to have Primal Rage up, because the enemy team will probably kill you for jumping in without your bubble. Because the correct response is just that they all turn and burst you to death. Because you don't have your bubble, you're so much easier to kill at that point. Like, if you jump in without your bubble and without Primal Rage, basically you're saying, I hope they don't focus me. And any play that revolves around the enemy team being bad is itself a bad play, so we should not do that. Now, fortunately, we keep this checkpoint because our DPS killed all of their DPS and they just had no way to finish the fight. Also, Farah killed herself, which was real convenient. So it's not exactly terrible to play Winston against this team, but it is hard because they have Zenyatta Reaper. So, like, if Zenyatta puts Discord on you, and then Reaper focuses you, you die so quickly. D.Va would probably be better to pick against that team comp, because we know they have Pharah, Reaper, Soldier. And Winston isn't super good against any of those heroes, right? Like, he's okay against Pharah, and he's, like, break even with Soldier, honestly. Because if the Soldier reacts properly, just puts the Biotic Field down, walks into you, shoots you to death, and you can't actually kill him through Biotic Field. He can just, like, stand his ground and fight you. So it's hard to play Winston against this team. Because there's nobody, like, basically it's like, we're going to try and bully the supports, is the gist of playing Winston right here. I would rather play D.Va, because D.Va can still bully the supports if given the opportunity, but D.Va is way better against Pharah. She's okay against Reaper rather than getting countered by Reaper, and she's okay against Soldier. Debatably, she's good against Soldier, but that depends on how good at tracking you are. So I would rather change to D.Va when we died over there rather than stay on Winston. It's not, like, impossible to play Winston against this team comp, especially if they just kind of, like, don't focus you properly. Like, what happens right here? Like, Reaper's, like, right here, but, like, Zenyatta's also here, but, like, he never puts the Discord Orb on us, and Reaper never really focuses us, so we just kind of get to walk around tasing them, and then, like, Zenyatta wasted Transcendence because it was just him and Reaper over here, so that ended up accomplishing absolutely nothing except stagger them. Now we can jump over here, and we didn't have our bubble, so we disengage off of them, which... fair enough. Like, they've already lost the fight. They're just going to have to regroup at this point anyway. There's no point continuing to Frog March at the Soldier because killing him right now is unlikely and doesn't get us anything. We wouldn't even get any ult charge off of chasing him. So, we just disengage from him, which is fine. Zenyatta just got picked off. That's very unfortunate for them because it's going to make it way harder for them to push him. So we have to be, like, really vigilant for Reaper. Anytime we don't know where Reaper is, we should be looking for Reaper. There's Reaper. Because Reaper's going to try and flank us. That's just how Reaper is. So if we don't know where he is, we need to be looking for him. And, like, the way Winston is, like, we spend a lot of time waiting for an opportunity, right? Like, you can't... Winston doesn't really go up with the tank line and, like, harass people super well, right? Unless for some reason your Reinhardts are, like, touching each other, but a fight hasn't broken out for some reason. So... there's a lot of waiting as Winston, so you can just kind of spend that time looking around for flankers, which is, like, a large part of your job dealing with flankers anyway. And Reaper is going to try to teleport behind you, so if we don't know where he is, we should be looking for him. We know he's dead right now, so we don't have to worry about it. Come up here to try and kill the Pharah. You know, all we can really do is harass her in the Mercy. I mean, that's what D.Va does as well, but D.Va does, like, more damage to Pharah than Winston does. So, here's the Earth Shatter. We got hit. Oh, no. Oh, Baguette stunned him, I think. It looks like it. Their Pharah ulted. She accomplished nothing. Reaper put the bubble on Reaper to try and save Mercy. She ends up dying to Reinhardt instead. There is not really a lot you can do about this one, unless you're gonna make, like, a really fucking godly Primal Rage play right here. When we hear their Pharah ulting, we could also jump up to the Pharah to try to put the bubble around her. If we actually had our jump at the time. We did. We could have immediately just looked for the Pharah, jumped up to her, and put the bubble on her. Because that's one of my absolute favorite plays to, like, watch and do. Is, like, Pharah's ulting, jump up, put the bubble around her. And then she just ends up killing herself. Like, above her, usually. Because jumping directly at her is kind of gonna get you killed. You jump over her, drop the bubble on her head, passes through her, all the rockets detonate in her face, and she dies. That's my favorite thing, is just when you can kill the Thara with a shield. I love it. It's great. So we use Primal Rage right here. I wouldn't, because it looks like we've lost this fight, and we just end up using Primal Rage to run away. But not before taking way more damage, therefore giving them way more ult charge, because they basically killed us. We used Primal Rage at really low health, which is great value-wise, but, like... So they drop us to 100. So they did 400 damage, and then we scamper away at 370. So they just did, 1,000 damage to us. That's a lot of ult charge right there, when we could have just elected to die, which we did anyway to change to D.Va. Great. So, using Primal Rage like that did nothing. It was actively detrimental to our team, because we gave them way more ult charge for doing that. Try to die with dignity if you're playing a tank. If you're gonna die, just accept that death. Because tanks can drag out their deaths for really extended periods of time, and just ended up, staggering themselves and feeding the enemy team a lot of ult charge. Don't do that. Because tanks are the primary source of ult charge for the enemy team. We want to mitigate that as much as possible. And we're playing D.Va. We're going to be an ult battery for the enemy team, because we're, primary bullying target for ult charge. Fortunately, we didn't have to really do anything for this team fight. Even, the Death Blossom that happened, McCree stunned him. So, or Bridget stunned him. One or the other stunned him. So it ended up not having... We didn't really have to do anything right here. Hooray. Reaper's staggered. We got picked off. So, effectively, he's staggered, because now they have to wait for him again. I always think of staggered as being more like a team fight happened, and then one person died, 5 seconds after the team fight ended. But, getting picked off is basically being staggered. So, Farah just died to Roadhog, so we've learned they have a Roadhog now. Roadhog is a primary bullying target for us as D.Va, because we can just put Defense Matrix over whoever he hooks, and he will be sad about it. So, we follow the Reinhardt in right here and try to get the Mercy, but then we just end up in this giant clusterfuck melee. We should just disengage when Reinhardt dies, because we can also see in the kill feed that Farah died. So at that point, we should just be trying to back out, rather than continue to fight and probably die. If you can back out, that's better than dying, because you didn't die, which is, you just spend more time interacting with the game, which is generally beneficial, believe it or not. So Reaper's here. We can make life difficult for Reaper. We're not necessarily ever going to kill Reaper, but we make life really difficult for him. We have self-destruct built up. Reinhardt just used Earth Shatter. It might be worth using self-destruct right here, because these people they just got Earth Shattered. Zenyatta's using Transcendent, so nobody's going to get killed through it, except by self-destruct. And with how split up everyone is, they're going to have to react really quickly when they get up to actually survive, because, Mercy's all the way over here. This is Roadhog. That's not even Reinhardt. The Reinhardt's dead. Disregard. I thought this was Reinhardt. That's Roadhog. So Roadhog might survive when he gets up. We saw Reaper use Wraith Form not that long ago. And Zenyatta will... If we time it right, we can get Zenyatta as he comes out of Transcendence. So... And, it would just, really, it would make life really difficult for them, because they would have to wait for a lot of people. Whereas we use it right there, and, it sort of kills their momentum a little bit, but what would kill their momentum more is if we killed someone while they were on the ground from Earthshatter. Earthshatter is, the only way people ever die to self-destruct other than being bad. Because it's the only thing that, has a long enough crowd control effect for D.Va to just kind of lob it in. And then, they'll get up before it self-destructs, yeah, but they have to think real quick when they get up. If there's a Mercy out there in the open from and she's got the self-destruct toe, and she's got to move so fast to actually get to safety. Roadhog would have probably been fine, because, take a breather is that way. So, not to spoil the ending or anything, but you might have noticed we don't play multiple rounds based off the fact this video is 15 minutes long. Miraculously enough, we don't lose this team fight. because basically Reinhardt, like, has carried the fuck out of us these last few team fights. Like, he has landed a lot of sick Earth Shatters in the last few minutes, which is very convenient. Got self-destruct again. Ends up not actually killing anybody, unfortunately, but it, if you put a self-destruct on the payload, or near the payload, that typically results in them not touching the payload anymore. We're not going to see the play of the game. Damn. We can look at our recommended videos, though, because sometimes that's funny. So I've never watched a Fortnite video in my life. Flexing only, that's hard. Don't do that. I do indeed follow Northern Line. That all makes sense. Yep. Yep. So, I am a fan of Dragon Ball Super, but I do not speak this language, so that's a bit unusual. Nor do I speak this language. So, there's always like 2 videos that are just like moon runes. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway. So, I can't really think of a recurring thing that happened other than, I guess, like, feeding them unnecessary ult charge. I can't think of, like, a big recurring thing that kept coming up, though. Which is how I would expect it to be if you were, like, 2800 SR, to be fair. Because, like, by that point, I would expect most of the big issues to be hammered out, and for it to be mostly about refinement beyond that point. So, hey. Sounds about right. So thank you very much for watching if you did. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer. If you haven't already, you can join our Discord and ask questions more directly and have a conversation about them. Or just shitpost with us. And I hope you found the video helpful.